Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Queen Phierce Has Spoken. I am your host, Queen Phierce, and thank you for joining me by the garden. This is where we'll be until the elements tell us otherwise. So thanks so much. And if you're enjoying what you're seeing, if you like what the Queen is cooking, make sure you hit subscribe on that button, that little red button or whatever color it is. Hit subscribe because I have been talking to some fabulous queens in the last few weeks, and I got more fabulousness lined up for you. Okay, so today we have the wonderful, the beautiful, the Celeste Preston. We're going to get into their interview. If you like what you're hearing, hit the like button. Okay, if something resonates with you, make sure you hit share because I'm sure there's other people who need to get into what we are talking about. Okay, today's theme: Black women and sustainability. And if anybody has it, this queen does. Drop the comments and let me know that you are feeling this, okay? And share. All right, let's get into this interview. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Queen Phierce Has Spoken. Okay, it is about to be a beautiful and glorious afternoon. Well, afternoon for us, but by the time you see this, you'll be unwinding with your wine and things. Hopefully call a couple of girlfriends to catch this conversation that I'm about to get into with the capital THE, because you know how I do, Celeste Preston. Okay. So let me just tell y'all that I've been following this queen for, I don't know, a year, maybe 2 years, maybe even 3 years. I don't know, but we just connected. And so I love her work. I love everything that she does. And we are about to get into it because she is a queen who's out here doing it. And you know what I say? That's what I'm going to bring you because I want to show you that it's just queens out here doing it. Okay, we're about to get into the whole list. I'm so excited. So join me in welcoming the Celeste Preston, aka Sophisticated Poet. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You are looking gorgeous on this afternoon. You got the sun coming in.
So
got
are
that
you.
Melanin pop glow thing happening. And I was like, okay, red lit. Yeah, I feel like I should have went with the blue lit.
It's all good.
We could have been lippy twins. So I know I said this would be awesome because I have been doing interviews by the garden. And
I love that.
You have a fantastic garden. I'm like a garden in process over. Actually, it looks like a forest. I got a watermelon vine that is just like minding its own business.
Yes.
Okay. But I feel like I didn't do well with the watermelons. It was my first time growing. So
listen, I failed last year.
So lots of questions like about the garden. I see your garden is popping over there. What am I looking at? Over your shoulder. But we got a whole
We got some corn. We had some mullein. I had some fall seedlings. I started cauliflower, broccoli, collards, lettuce. My lemon cucumbers are on their way out, and I'm going to transition another variety of cucumbers. I think they're called green dragon cucumbers. Yeah. And I have a lot of weeds, so you can't really see that from here, but it's looking like a jungle over here also. But I'm letting them do their thing. The survival of the fittest in my garden this year.
Yeah, that's what I learned. So I recently took an herbal first aid class and learned that a lot of the weeds that's growing on my property is wild edibles. Mm-hmm. So I was out here exploring in my own garden just the other day, and I found that I have ground elder, and I also have Cambodian mint, or also Vietnamese coriander. So
that sounds amazing.
Listen, so I'm piped. So it's not in the mint family. I guess it's used more like coriander, but yeah, so I'm excited to try it out, and it grows wild. So I usually take like soil from my garden box, which is just like the natural soil that was already here, and garden soil, and just like mix it together. But usually when I do that, whatever I'm growing in that, this Cambodian mint or Vietnamese coriander also grows in it, because I just can't get to the root of it, apparently. So it's now also growing in my herb box, which is appropriate. But unfortunately, it's the same thing that choked out my tomatoes earlier this year. So lots of lessons from my gardening experience this year. And I think that while I'm sitting here with you, I am going to finally pot my collard. So I brought my gardening glove out. I usually only use like one hand and taking the third. So got my gardening glove out. I brought my soil and my seeds. And I read that collards are a cold loving plant.
They are.
I may get a harvest before winter rolls in.
Oh, you will.
To the game, but I'm really excited to do it. And I've been saying that I'm going to do it, but we're just going to do it. So while I'm doing that, how about well, for people who don't know the background, Celeste is a poet. Celeste is not just a gardener, but like an urban farmer, a landscape artist, lady builder situation, and also a clothing designer. So I feel like we have a lot to cover, but when you combine all of these things, to me, it just shouts sustainability. It just shouts, oh, we taking care of ourselves over here, and I'm teaching my people how to do it. Okay. So just tell me like about this journey. Did one of these things like enter your life first? Does the passion for one like feed into one thing or all things? Like, just tell us about like the Celeste journey and how you got to be all of these things.
Oh, I feel like we'll be here all night for me to explain. I feel like I have lived multiple lives, but I first got introduced to agriculture in high school. I went to W.B. Saul High School of Agricultural Sciences. I originally went there because I love animals and I wanted to be a veterinarian, but I realized there's lots of schooling and there's a possibility that animals can bite. So I was introduced to plants and I realized plants are a lot safer. So I decided to major in high school in landscape design, because you get a chance to choose what you want to like concentrate in your junior and senior year. And then I loved it so much that I went to college. I went to Delaware Valley University and got my bachelor's of science degree in ornamental horticulture and environmental design. So I was able to learn about all the environmental things in order to make sure that everything is growing at the best, in the best way possible. And then on top of that, I was able to do some internships. I worked in the grounds department in college. Even in high school, I worked over the summer. So I have been doing this since about the summer of 2004. So like about 17 years I've been working in the landscaping industry. So it was
so amazing. And you don't often hear women, and especially Black women, in this profession. So I'm just wondering, like, even in your educational experience, what was that not just what was the ratio like, were there other women in the program, but what was the experience like? Because I imagine that many men had not been open to this being a passion of yours. So can you talk a little bit about that journey, like the struggle for fighting for your passion, basically?
Yes. In every position I've ever had in my career, I have been the only woman and only Black woman. So as soon as I came into my positions, I was automatically looked at as weak. Now, the men never actually said it, but I can get that energy from them. And I kind of felt like I had to prove myself and prove my abilities. And I knew I had to be above average just to even be considered for certain things. And that's not something that was ever taught to me. I've navigated my entire career with being the only everything. So you have to just be okay with yourself and working alone. I never wanted to use my gender as an excuse as to not doing certain things. So whatever the men could do, I could do and probably do it 2 times better. I lift heavy bags. Yes, I lift heavy bags. I operate machinery. I actually have I'm certified to drive forklifts inside. I drive bobcats and all types of trucks and stuff. So I am able to hop into any and everything just to get the job done. So it takes a lot of practice, a lot of patience, a lot of perseverance. I've even had to let some of the guys know that they had to treat me with respect because that's not something they're used to doing. And sometimes you gotta lay people out just to let them know, like, you can't ever talk like that around me, and you're gonna treat me a certain way because I'm not having it. Even when it comes to managers, I had to make sure they know, you can't just say or do anything to me. So I had to operate in my masculine energy just to protect myself.
I can imagine so.
Yeah, I cannot be too girly because I don't want to stand out too much because I don't want people to feel like they can just walk up to me and do anything to me. And I'm from Philly, so you already know.
You already know. Yeah, I'm just like, and that question just came to me when you talked about the history of you being in this field, and men really get so threatened and possessive about work that is supposed to be manly or masculine. So I'm really honored and proud to be talking to you right now because 17 years, that's a long time to just carry that feeling of having to feel like you got to prove yourself. But I also feel like you earned your spot. You know what I mean? Like you went through that journey, you got the corresponding education and background and experience. And so now you have, what's the name of the landscaping business? Is that under Green Grocer C?
Yes, it's under Green Grocer C now, but I did have a landscaping business. Hey, you got it done.
Look, I did have 2 whole minutes to do, and I've been trying to do this for 2 weeks.
Listen. It's done though. Better late than never.
It's done. I'm so happy.
Yes. I did have a landscaping business a few years ago, but I actually retired because working full time and then working for clients right outside of work and then on my off days, I didn't have vacations. I didn't see family. I barely saw my friends. I did not have a life, and I actually started to hate it, and I felt like a slave, and everyone else was getting this wonderful service, but nobody was taking care of me, not even me. So these last 4 years, money has been very tight, but it has been so necessary so I can get to know myself by myself and actually take care of myself. And this year I decided to start working on my health and wellness, and that really led me to really love myself enough to be like, all right, I think I could do this again, but I got to do things differently this time.
So that led right into your journey for self-care, actually, which is always a big theme. I believe that some of the most beautiful things are born out of our need for self-care. And if we have to have these experiences so that we can create these self-care journeys that ultimately end up benefiting the people around us and in our lives, and whomever we choose to share that with. So just like, kudos to you, because that is, I feel like you get to a point in life when you realize that your sanity is just worth so much more than any bag. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Sanity is the bag, okay?
Yes.
Authenticity is the bag. Okay. So if you chase it, but if you're chasing the dollar, like, you can never find peace like that.
Never.
Never. So let's jump into, you're not doing personal landscaping right now. So what's your 9 to 5?
My 9 to 5, I'm actually a groundswoman. I'm a groundswoman for Temple University. I've been there for about 6 years now. Wow. Feels like 15, but I've been there for 6 years.
Okay. And so a groundswoman, that means you take care of the landscaping of that area. Okay.
Yes, I do everything from picking up trash to planting flowers, designing flower boxes, snow removal when we have snow. So I am an essential personnel. So while everyone's at home, I'm at work clearing sidewalks and making sure it's safe for people to walk around. So it's definitely a necessary job.
Yeah. So that kind of like, I could see how doing that work and doing, I guess, like personal landscaping work for clients would be like, when does your body get a break? Right. Yes. So I'm glad that you found a balance in that, is what I want to say. So that's beautiful. And then, so you also do this for your personal gain too. I see you have this beautiful garden behind you. So what do you grow for yourself, and how do you benefit out of growing?
Well, actually, the pandemic was the first time I've ever had an extended period of time to actually focus on what I wanted. Because there was such uncertainty, Temple let us have about 2 months of an adjusted schedule where I worked like once every 10 days. So I did not take any days off. Every single day, I felt this like burning desire to start my garden. So I literally cleared the land by hand with just a shovel. And I took my time and I gave myself grace, but I'm a very spiritual person. So I felt like the ancestors was like, all right, this is your time. They literally told me everything to do. I filled my truck with all the plants that I needed, and section by section, I cleared and planted. And by the end of the year, I was able to submit my garden to the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society's contest. And I got a blue ribbon for it. So that was just like confirmation that I was doing what I was born to do.
That is so exciting. Well, maybe you can help me out, because this whole situation back here, baby. Okay. But like I said, lessons and blessings. So absolutely. I also started my gardening journey during the pandemic. It started out as a need for self-care, but I also realized like there's a sustainability measure behind growing your own food. So I definitely want to get to a point where, I'm doing less shopping in the stores and more benefiting from what I'm growing. That's just me. I know this summer, when I planted in the spring, I was like, I want to be able to come out to my garden and pick a salad, but I struggled with like growing my leafy veg. My tomatoes got choked out. It was just like a lot of obstacles with the garden this year, but it's also been a lot of blessings. I've learned so much about maize. I grew maize. I don't know if you could see it, but the corn was, they call it ornamental corn and it's just like the most beautiful plant that I've ever seen. And then I found like what I can do with it, because it's not a boil and eat situation at all. But yeah, so I mean, it came with learning things. I have all of this watermelon vine and 3 watermelons.
Hey.
Wow. But 2 had blossom right and 1 wasn't ripe. So I was like, okay, just another like learning process, you know. I did get a great harvest of green beans and black beans, but even that I had to learn like, hey, black beans are green before they turn black. But yeah, it's been a journey, whole journey in my garden. I do have a little, oh, you can't see her right now, but my cucumber is pushing through. I thought the watermelon vine was trying to take it out, but it has like climbed to the top of the watermelon vine, and it's like, no, we are still here. So I got my little cucumbers coming in back there. So, how was your gardening experience this year? Did you have any amazing triumphs or any struggles, things that you learned from?
I actually decided to experiment. Last year, I kind of led with my designer background, and I actually had a lot of anxiety because it grew so fast, so quickly, and I had to really like take note of how mature things get. You can't try to like grow everything at the same time in a small space. Yeah. So I said this year, I'm not stressing. I'm just going to like slowly do everything. Plus, I felt like my life got even busier this year. So I decided to focus on herbs and grow a lot of things in containers because I just wanted to see how things grow in containers. My corn over here, I just know it took more time for it to mature. And also the corn is a lot smaller. Yeah. So it's just like certain lessons I'm learning. So next year, if I'm still here, I will grow everything in the ground and just try to be more diligent with growing things and trying to maximize my space. So this year I added this little patio section that I'm sitting in right now so I can actually like sit inside the garden. So I really wanted to create like a safe space for me because my apartment is really small. So I needed some areas outside to like really enjoy.
Amazing. So you mentioned your designer background. Where does that come into play?
It helps me know like where to place things. I like to I'm a Virgo as well, so aesthetics are everything for me. So I like to have like over here, you can't really tell, but I have like my mullein against the sidewalk. I have things in lines. I have different colors mixed in because with the design background, you get a chance to see what colors look good together. You want to take the height in consideration, how wide they get. So all of those things, I kind of play around with different textures. It's just a lot of fun. Plus, I'm an artist, so I try to use art in anything that I do.
Okay, so now we're dipping in, we're transitioning over because you mentioned that you're an artist. Tell us more about your art life. When did you get into it? I know you as a poet, but I also know that you design clothing. So I imagine that that's a large part of your artscape. So yes. Tell me about being an artist.
Well, fashion design came to me out of a necessity. I want to say it's been almost 5 years since I started taking sewing lessons. As a plus size woman, I was not finding fashionable clothing. I'm a very colorful person, and I would look in Lane Bryant, Torrid, Ashley Stewart, and everything looks so matronly to me. Yeah. And I have a different body type. I'm more athletic, so the arms didn't fit properly and the chest part didn't fit. And I was just like, why am I spending so much money for like 3 pieces of clothing just for me not to feel like I'm looking my best? So I said, DIY queen it is. Started taking lessons and then realized I have this whole hidden talent that I was like, all right, this is it. This is what I have to do. And then because I always start with me and everything that I do, I was like, I want to do this for other people. So I did take on some clients and I made some custom things, but I realized like that's a lot too when I'm still working full time. So I'm hoping that the stars align so that I have a whole production team so that I could put things out to the world and not have to be stressed about it and still do what I love. So I'm waiting for that to happen also.
Absolutely. But also just recognizing that that's like not just a newfound skill, but a newfound passion. And again, sustainability. Like,
yes.
I'm gonna be in the house growing my food and making my clothes. What do I need y'all for? You know?
We and you know what? As Black people and melanated people, we are multi-dimensional beings. So there is never just one thing we were born to do. There are so many things we can do, but we just have to like take that risk and experiment and try to figure out what we're good at and what makes us happy. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's like, that's a discovery to be made every single day, right? Like every moment of your life, every minute, every second, there is something new to learn about yourself. And I think you just have to be open to those lessons, open to what's being shown to you by you. Like you tell yourself things, your body tells yourself things, your mind, your heart, and just being open to that can really just broaden your world, broaden possibilities for for things that you didn't even know you were capable of.
absolutely.
That excites me. And so we got our design background, we have our designer background. And so now let's talk to Celeste the poet. Who is she?
She is a very observant individual. I actually started writing poetry at the age of 13. Yes, 13 is such a powerful number, and it actually was unfortunate why I started writing. A young lady who I considered a little sister had died in a car accident. I was in the 8th grade, and no one like knew how to help me through that grief. Yeah. And I literally felt like God was like, grab a pen and paper and write it down. So the first poem I wrote was about her and what she meant to me, and I used poetry as therapy. Because growing up, I don't think I really had anybody to talk to. So I talked to the page. And then in 2010, that's when I felt like God was telling me I need to start performing. And I was absolutely terrified. I still am every time. Yeah. Every time I perform, I am terrified, but I just know my words aren't just for me. It's for other people to know that you can still overcome whatever it is that you are currently going through. You can just inspire other people and make them happy as well. So our gifts are not just for us, it's for the world. So we have to share them.
That is absolutely the truth. And that's a similar journey as well. I started writing at the age of 13. And it was like the poem that I wrote, it just came to me, and I just wrote it. And I remember it's called Who Am I? So it was this very explorative poem, but also like me realizing and thinking about the things that make me me. So that was a significant experience. And from that moment on, I just continued to write. Like I wrote everything. I wrote letters to my friends. Like my best friend at the time, we had a notebook that we would like pass each other in between classes.
I love that.
And would just like, and sometimes it would be like, superficial things like, guess what Miss So-and-so did? And then sometimes it would be like, yo, I don't know if my heart could take this, it would be like really deep things, but just to have like that level of expression. And then I had a book that I wrote everything in. So it was like poems, thoughts, journaling, just, I don't know, just free writing. And then one day, someone stole this book from me. I never knew what happened to this book. I think I was about 16 years old at this time. So I never knew what happened to this book. It never resurfaced, but I knew someone had taken it because I knew exactly where I left it, and nobody would admit that it had been taken. Oh, hello. And so I felt so violated. I ended up destroying like all of my early writings. And I was like, nobody will like ever have these pieces of me again. Yeah. And then when I was 19. Oh, I'm just realizing the pattern. It was every 3 years. So then when I was 19, I took a creative writing class while I was in school in Westchester. And it kind of reignited my writing of poetry. And so I wrote for a really long time. And in 2010, we started 4P, People, Poetry, Potluck, and Prose. And so that was my outlet for a long time. I hadn't got crossed over. I did host an open mic like in 2007, I want to say. But I never had this like, oh, I'm going to go out and perform or I'm a slam artist. I was never like that. And then in 2010, it was like, okay, this is my outlet. And then I believe it was 2013 or 14, that's when I got the call to be like, okay, you can be performing now, lady.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, God, you sure? You sure you want me to do that?
Right. Quite the poetic journey. But yeah, that's how it happens. And I'm always so inspired when I hear like other journeys, because it's like, ooh, girl, you wasn't alone. It can be, it can be a lot, but few are called. Few are called. So and so now, like, where do you see, like, what do you want to see for like your gardening? What do you want to see for your design work, your clothing designs, your poetry? Like, what is all this kind of culminating to?
Ooh, I have a whole list of like the order of things, because a lot of times when I'm out in the environment, I get downloads as far as my next move. So
I get downloads too. I
downloads, like legit downloads, and I use my email address as a way to record keep. But I actually wrote a children's book about Hyacinth. It's called C and Cynthia. And it's about a little girl who plants a hyacinth in the springtime, and it kind of takes you through the journey of planting that perennial and how excited she gets, because I want my gardening to be an educational thing, because I feel like I've been called to be a teacher. That's why I call myself a garden coach, because everything I've learned in the field, and I also learned in school, but I feel like I need to share that with specifically Black people, because there's a lot of trauma involved with agriculture. And I want us to kind of break free from that and liberate ourselves so that we can really tap into what we've been doing for centuries since we've existed. So
yes, thank you for identifying that. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I was interjecting. I didn't want to interrupt. I felt like you was on a roll, but I had to be like, that's what it is, girl.
Yes. It's definitely about liberation of our people. Because I feel like we will never, ever break free from the trauma if we never actually confront it and heal from it.
And I think about that. I think I was thinking about that this week in a way of like, we come from a people that grows. We come from a people that cultivates the land, tills the land. Mm-hmm. We come from a sustainable people. So how did we get so far from that? How did we get separated from that? And it's because of the trauma that's related to it. But even before our history in this country, that's who we were. That's why they wanted us to build and cultivate and grow this land, because of who we already were. So it's time for us to get back to that space, because that's who we are. That's who our hearts is. That's who our ancestors are. That's who our families are, So that's why I wanted to say thanks for identifying that, because I literally had that thought this week. Like, how did we get so removed from who we are? We are growers. We are cultivators of the land. We are creators. We the people,
And you know what?
People, like, you don't have nothing. You had to get this from us,
Absolutely. And I had to meet our ancestors in Africa. I went to Ghana in 2019, and I went twice. And my family thought I was so crazy. But after seeing Black Panther and seeing how beautiful we are, I said, I have to go home. Yeah. So I went to Ghana. I had the most real experience. I did not take the tourist route. I did not stay in the most fancy hotels. I stayed in a local house. My first time, I went with people I did not know from a can of paint. And it was terrifying, but so needed because I needed that experience to be able to see the motherland for what it is. And then when I went back in August of 2019, I actually went to Cape Coast to the slave castles. I went to Elmina Castle. I saw the dungeons that our ancestors were in. I saw the door of no return. I saw the beautiful beach where all the slave ships came and took us from. And I felt their energy. And I said, you know what? We can't ever go back to this. But I needed to go there and feel that so that I know moving forward, we are amazing people. And I'm here to remind us. And even with my name, I don't know if my parents knew, my name means heavenly and my middle name, Nicole, means victory of the people. So I have been sent here to really help everybody tap into their power.
That is liberation. That is liberation. I aspire to have a similar journey. I actually wanted to go to the motherland in 2020. I was planning in 2019 and then the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So that is something that is definitely still on my radar. And yes, my family thinks I'm crazy. All right. Because I tell my mom, I was like, every time something raunchy happens in this place, y'all call it the United States, I'm like, I'm moving to Africa because I'm tired. You know, they don't want us here. And I'm all about being visible and taking up space. I stated about myself, I am a bold, broad Black woman, and I don't have a problem with opening my mouth and taking up space because I belong in spaces. I belong, and you can't tell me that I don't. But there's also an aspect that just leaves you weary of the fight, that leaves a level of discouragement of, are things ever going to be different? Am I constantly going to be fighting for things that are basic human rights, or can I just go and live? So the work that I do now, really, I don't even think it's for me. It's for the people. It's for the people who are here. It's for people who don't have hope. It's for my children and my children's children, you know what I mean? To just be able to be autonomous in their life choices, in their existence, and not have it predicted by societal norms. So I'm completely, I love that. I love that you had that experience, and now I'm even more excited, and I can't wait and just want to connect with my ancestors in that way. I watched, and you had to have seen it, the High on the Hog.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Oh, yes. So that first episode,
and I cried. Okay.
The experience of following the path that slaves went, and I felt like I was taking that journey right along with him. And a child had me, and them first 2 episodes had me broke down.
Yes, all the way down.
But yeah, just having that, and I often wonder, what would I do if I was experiencing that? So I guess when I go back, I'm gonna have to have you as my tour guide.
I would love to, because I really feel like I'm gonna build a home there, because I really want to travel the world, because we have to see some world. The United States is not united, and it's not really for us. And I really feel like we need to be in spaces that we are the majority. So, and I feel like we have to stop begging for a seat at the table, because I've been there and done that, and it's not ever going to happen in the way that we need it to. So we have to create spaces for ourselves.
Yeah. I will say that I've seen progress. I was going to say significant progress, but I'll just say progress in the passion for the rights of Black people in this country. And mostly because now we have identified allies, right? People who are empathetic and sympathetic to the struggle that's been happening for 500 years. So I do have that level of hope. And if I can be part of that systemic change and process, then I absolutely want to be. But that don't mean I can't retire where my ancestors used to lay, you know?
No, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
And I would still like to have a connection to the United States because I know not everybody is going to move to the motherland or other countries. But I just know, like, whenever I have children, I do not want them to be raised in the, United States. I feel like they need to be off the grid. I plan on having a homestead. We're going to be self-sufficient wherever I'm at and travel the world. And we're going to just really make a difference.
Yeah. What a beautiful experience. And just a beautiful idea and thought to have that you can absolutely make a reality. So I'm so excited. I'm just excited. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we had this conversation. Like,
same.
So good. I feel like, I knew you for like the last 15 years and we're just catching up. Like,
It's an energy thing for me.
It's always the energy thing. Okay, low-key bestie. Oh my God. Love that. But I definitely want to connect with more like-minded Black women who it just helps to affirm me like, hey, sis, like you're not struggling on your own and you don't have to struggle on your own. Absolutely. You know what I mean? These thoughts that you have aren't isolated, we all, even though we express it in different ways, we all have these thoughts and even ideas and capabilities to develop processes to help really expand our quality of life. So thank you so much.
Yes, it's better that we do things together. Unity is the only way, I feel.
So I want to say cheers to you, Celeste. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Queen Phierce has spoken. It has truly been an honor, and I appreciate the conversation that we had today. Time flies when you're having fun.
It definitely does.
I just can't wait, and I will keep you updated with like when we're airing. I'll give you the link and all that. So
okay,
whatever.
Thank you so much for having me. This was like the best part of my day.
Yeah. Well, I'm always glad to hear that. I've been the best part of many a day in my
Yes.
So I want you to go on and have a beautiful day. Tap into that self-care that you talked to us about. And
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yay. All right. Wow, what a beautiful interview with Celeste. I'm so glad, so happy that she could join us today. Wasn't she the bomb, y'all? Let me know that she was the bomb. Drop them comments down there. I see your like, and raise you another one and another more, okay? And please hit share on this video because I just know that somebody somewhere needs to hear the jewels that was dropped in this episode. If you haven't already, thank you so much. Believe it or not, more people who watch my shows are not subscribed. So if you're watching this right now, please subscribe to my channel because we have so much more to come. So before I leave y'all, sniff, sniff, I'm going to catch y'all on the next Queen Crush Wednesday. I just wanted to drop a little short poem for y'all, and I've shared this on my social media, but it's short, it's tight, it's encouraging, and I just want you to take this with you this week. Carry it with you. Let it encourage you. Feel the words because some of you are coming out of this dark space, and I just want to encourage you to push toward the light. So this is called Fly. The dark place is only for a season. When you start recognizing the light, push toward it. It may hurt a little bit breaking through the barrier and stretching out from the comfort of the dark, but those wings ain't meant to stay folded. You may not be able to see how much you've grown, but you're beautiful, baby. I just want to leave that with y'all. I just want to encourage you. There is light on the other side. Sometimes we fall into the dark place and don't realize that there's light on the other side. Don't realize that there's more than what we're seeing in our surroundings just now. But just like the butterfly, before it comes a butterfly, it finds comfort in that dark place of the cocoon. But you can't stay there forever. You have to push through. And sometimes pushing through hurts. Growth hurts, okay? Unfolding them wings hurts, but you are meant to fly, baby. You are meant to go beyond whatever this space is. So I just want to encourage you to do that. It's a new Queen Crush Wednesday. To the next Queen Crush Wednesday, I want to hear how you extended those wings and how you got past your dark place. I love y'all, and remember, Queen Phierce has spoken.